Many years ago, I had the good fortune of living and spending a lot of time in the Ozark Mountains in Arkansas. And part of that time, I lived and worked in a one-room schoolhouse. And it's a lot from those experiences, a lot of the stories and songs from my first book, Ballads and Tales of the Woods, originated. And so one day in the schoolhouse, the kids had gone home, and I was there by myself, and it was a warm spring day, and there was a big platform out in the back, like the playground, and I was just out there in the sun, lying on that old platform, taking a break and a rest, and I looked up, and up in the sky there was a bunch of big old buzzards just flying around, and I thought of some old guy and other critters in the woods and those buzzards, and so it prompted me to write this little song called The Old Timer and His Mouth, and it goes like this. Once there was a buzzard who lived up in the sky. He had long black feathers and two great big old eyes. Once there was a tiny mouse who lived upon the ground. She made her home among the weeds. She gathered seeds around. Once there was an old timer who lived in a cabin small. He liked to watch the buzzard soar. He liked the mouse that crawled. One day the tiny mouse went out for her morning meal. She came upon some chewing gum. It was stuck to the wagon wheel. The little mouse gobbled it up. It stuck to her tiny ribs. When she tried to run back home, her feet just wouldn't give. The buzzard who was watching this from high above the trees knew that he could swoop down fast and snatch the mouse with ease. The buzzard fell from the sky to land upon the mouse, but the old timer was watching too. He ran out from his house. He grabbed the buzzard by the head. The mouse flew in the air. The chewing gum came sailing out to land in the man's long hair. The man grew mad and jumped about. His voice became a yell. He spun around this way and that and fell into the well. Once there was a buzzard, and once there was a mouse. Once there was an old timer who learned to watch his mouth. Thank you. I like to make up songs that I can sing without a guitar. And many of these songs I like to create that you can share with me by just snapping your fingers. And I like to make up these songs from experiences that I've had in the backwoods. This song I made up when one morning I got up and put on my insulated boots. It was in December in the north woods of Maine, and this mouse came flying up out of my boot. And I figured the mouse was going in there to get the insulation to take it back to make a cozy nest for itself. So I decided to make up this little song. Now, if you don't know how to snap your fingers, remember it's just pretty simple. All you've got to do is take your thumb, count over 3 fingers. 1, 2, 3. Then take that third finger and press it up against your thumb. And then press. And if you press, you'll hear a snap. You might not hear it the first time, but then because we're humans, remember we have to practice everything we learn. And if you just keep practicing, it won't be long before you'll hear that snap. You can share this song with me. I'm going to teach you the chorus. It goes like this. Dee da dee da dee da dum da 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 dee da dee da dee da dum da da. Ready? One more time. Dee da dee da dee da dum da 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 dee da dee da dee da dum da da. I think you've got it. This is called The Cat, the Mouse, and the Shoe. I'll sing the verses, you can share the chorus. And we'll start with the chorus one more time on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Dee da dee da dee da dum da 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 dee da dee da dum da da. One fine day in the morning sun, oh, I went for a walk and I went for a run, and I really wasn't sure just what to do to find the mouse who had hidden my shoe. Dee da dee da dee da dum da 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 dee da dee da dum da da. Kept on walking till I got to town to find a cat who could wear a frown, 'cause I thought if I gave her a home in my house, oh, she might just go and catch that mouse. Dee da dee da dum da 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 dee da dee da dum da da. Late that night when I went to bed, oh, I had sweet dreams inside my head, 'cause I dreamed that I might get a good night's sleep if the mouse couldn't run and the mouse couldn't creep. Dee da dee da dum da 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 dee da dum da da. Early next morn when the sun did rise, oh, I woke from my bed to get a surprise. The cat and the mouse on the kitchen floor were playing checkers and keeping score. Dee da dum da 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 dee da dum da da. Bring yourself over, they both did say, and fetch a chair so we all can play. And I really wasn't sure just what to do, so I went and got the mouse my other shoe. Hit it! Dee da dum da 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 dee da dum da da. As a storyteller of the ancient tradition, whenever a storyteller finishes sharing a story and songs, before they let the listeners go on their way, in the ancient oral tradition, storytellers always were somewhat expected to perform a magic trick. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've been such polite listeners that I would like to share a magic trick with you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to share with you is, from my back pocket, I have this simple, ordinary wool cap. And by using the powers of magic as a storyteller, I'm going to use this cap and I'm going to turn out the lights in this room. So please observe. You will notice that there are no strings, there are no wires, there's no trap door. There's nothing in my hands. There's nothing up my sleeve. And you can't see it, but there's nothing up my pant leg. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take this cap and I'm going to place it squarely on top of my head. And on the count of 3, you will never see this again in your entire life. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the magic that comes with storytelling. I'm going to use this cap, and on the count of 3, I'm going to turn out the lights in this room. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Who turned out the lights? Who turned out the lights? Oh, they're still on. Magic. Thanks.